Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the ESS Hyperion, watching distant stars blur past as humanity's first faster-than-light vessel carved its path through space. At 53, she had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, humanity's first venture beyond their solar system. The ship represented everything humanity had achieved: quantum computing, dark energy manipulation, and most importantly, their unique approach to solving problems. Admiral Lieutenant James Rodriguez called from his station. "We're detecting unusual energy signatures ahead. Configuration doesn't match any of our theoretical models." Chen straightened her uniform, a habit from decades of service. "Show me." The main display lit up with sensor data, revealing what appeared to be an artificial structure floating in deep space. Its architecture was distinctly non-human. All curved lines and crystalline surfaces that seemed to defy conventional engineering. "Life signs?" Chen asked. "Multiple, Admiral. And they're aware of us. We're receiving a transmission." The bridge crew fell silent as a figure appeared on their main screen. The alien was humanoid, but clearly not human. Its skin had a metallic sheen, and its eyes were composed of geometric patterns that shifted constantly. "Unknown vessel," the alien spoke, its words automatically translated by the Hyperion's AI. "You have entered restricted space. Identify yourself." Chen stepped forward. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth ship Hyperion. We come seeking peaceful contact." The alien's geometric eyes shifted faster. "Earth. Unregistered species detected. Your presence is unauthorized. Prepare for immediate inspection." Before Chen could respond, multiple ships materialized around the Hyperion, their designs as alien as the structure they'd discovered. They were beautiful in their otherworldliness, but the weapon ports opening along their hulls carried a clear message. "Sir," Rodriguez reported, his voice tense, "they're scanning us. Their technology, it's far beyond our estimates." Chen remained calm. Humanity had prepared for this possibility. Every science fiction story, every speculative novel, every wild theory had been considered when building the Hyperion. They might be outgunned, but they wouldn't be outthought. "All hands," Chen announced. "Initiate Protocol Omega. Lieutenant Rodriguez, activate the quantum shield array." The alien commander's image reappeared. "Your vessel contains unauthorized technology. Your species has developed beyond acceptable parameters without supervision. This violation requires immediate correction. We're willing to discuss any concerns," Chen offered, but she could see the decision had already been made. The alien ships were moving into attack positions. "Correction has begun," the alien stated flatly. "Your research outpost in the Kuiper Belt has been neutralized." Chen's blood ran cold. The outpost. 3,000 scientists and their families. "You attacked civilians. Unauthorized development must be contained. Your species will be restricted to your home system until proper oversight can be established." The bridge erupted in activity as reports flooded in. The Kuiper Belt outpost was gone, vaporized by weapons humanity had never seen before. But even as grief and rage filled her heart, Chen's mind was already working the problem. The aliens had revealed 3 critical pieces of information. They were powerful, they were arrogant, and they had no idea what humanity was truly capable of. "Send the signal," Chen ordered quietly. Rodriguez looked up. "The signal, sir, that would reveal." "They killed our people, Lieutenant." "Send it." A single quantum-encrypted burst transmission left the Hyperion, racing toward Earth faster than light itself. In the solar system, hidden facilities began powering up. Ships that didn't officially exist prepared for launch. And deep beneath the lunar surface, Project Prometheus activated. The aliens had made a fundamental mistake. They assumed humanity's first interstellar ship represented the peak of their technology. They hadn't considered that the Hyperion might be a test vessel, deliberately designed to appear less advanced than it was. They hadn't wondered why humans, with their well-documented history of preparing for the worst, would send a single ship into the unknown. Most importantly, they hadn't asked themselves why humanity's first faster-than-light drive used principles that were elegant but predictable, when human scientific papers had been theorizing about far more exotic possibilities for centuries. "Your species will be contained," the alien commander stated with finality. Chen allowed herself a small smile. "No," she replied. "I don't think we will." As the alien ships prepared to fire, Chen thought about all the science fiction humanity had created over the centuries. All the stories about first contact gone wrong. All the tales of humanity fighting back against overwhelming odds. Their ancestors had spent generations imagining these scenarios, planning for them, preparing for them. Now it was time to show the galaxy why that mattered. "All hands," Chen announced, her voice hard as steel. "Battle stations." The real first contact was about to begin, and it would not go the way the aliens expected. Humanity had spent too long preparing for this moment to accept defeat. The galaxy was about to learn why. The Galactic Federation's High Council chamber buzzed with satisfaction. The containment of the human species had gone exactly as planned, or so they thought. Commander Vextil stood before the assembled representatives, his metallic skin gleaming under the chamber's crystalline lights. "The primitive vessel has been disabled. Their Kuiper Belt installation is destroyed. The species will be properly restricted until—" A junior aide burst into the chamber, breaking centuries of protocol. "Lords of the Council. Emergency transmission from the containment fleet." The holographic display activated, showing chaos. Federation ships spun wildly, their formations shattered. And at the center of it all, the supposedly primitive human vessel was changing. The Hyperion's hull shifted, outer panels sliding away to reveal weapons unlike anything the Federation had encountered. But more shocking was what appeared behind it. Ships emerging from quantum space, their designs elegant and lethal. "Impossible," Vextil whispered. "Their system was under surveillance. These vessels, they cannot exist." On Earth, in a facility deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Maya Patel watched the sensor feeds with grim satisfaction. "Status of the Ghost Fleet. All ships reporting ready, General," her aide responded. "Quantum shields at full power. Dark matter drives online. The Federation's sensors still can't detect our true capabilities." The Ghost Fleet represented decades of secret development. While humanity built conventional ships and stations in plain sight, their real advances had happened in hidden facilities. Every ship in the fleet carried technology the Federation had deemed impossible. Aboard the Hyperion, Admiral Chen watched the Federation fleet's confusion with cold satisfaction. "Status of the quantum shield array. Operating at 200% efficiency," Admiral Rodriguez reported. "Their attacks actually improved our shield harmonics, just like the simulations predicted." The Federation ships fired again, their energy weapons following attack patterns unchanged in centuries. The Hyperion's shields didn't just absorb the attacks, they grew stronger with each hit, the quantum fields learning and adapting in ways Federation science had never conceived. "They're trying to access our computer systems," Lieutenant Sophia Patil announced from her station, trying to hide a smile. "Should I let them think they're succeeding?" Chen nodded. "Let them in. Show them exactly what they're dealing with." The Federation's best AI systems breached the Hyperion's outer firewalls, exactly as planned. They found what appeared to be the ship's main computer, a primitive system by their standards. But as they began their standard data extraction protocols, something changed. The Hyperion's true AI awakened. Unlike the rigid, rule-bound AIs of the Federation, humanity's artificial intelligence had been designed to think creatively, to adapt and evolve. It had spent years studying Federation computer systems, preparing for this moment. In the council chamber, screens began flashing warnings. Multiple systems compromised. An aide reported, panic in their voice. "The human eye, it's not following any known protocols. It's improvising." Vextil's geometric eyes spun in confusion. "Improvising? AIs don't improvise. They'd follow their programming. Apparently, a senior counselor noted dryly, no one informed the humans of this limitation. The Ghost Fleet moved with impossible precision, their formation shifting in ways that made Federation tactical computers crash trying to predict them. Humanity had spent centuries creating stories about space combat. Now they were putting those imagined strategies to real use. Their weapons, a Federation commander reported, voice shaking. They're combining technologies that shouldn't work together. Dark matter projectiles wrapped in quantum fields, guided by AI systems that adapt faster than we can track. General Patel smiled as the reports came in. The Federation had spent millennia perfecting their technology, refining it into standard forms that everyone used. They had achieved incredible power through optimization and standardization. Humanity had taken a different approach. They had never stopped asking, what if? They had never accepted that something was impossible just because it hadn't been done before. You attacked our people. Chen's voice transmitted across the battlefield. You thought we were primitive because we didn't follow your rules. Because our first ship seemed simple, basic. The Hyperion's hull continued to transform, revealing layer after layer of technology the Federation had never imagined. You should have asked yourselves why we would send an outdated ship as our first contact vessel. You should have wondered why a species that wrote countless stories about hostile aliens would venture into space seemingly unprepared. The Ghost Fleet moved into attack position, their dark matter drives giving them maneuverability that seemed to deny physics itself. You killed 3,000 of our people to teach us a lesson. Chen continued, her voice hard. Now we're going to teach you one. The Federation was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their refusal to accept limitations, their drive to imagine possibilities that others dismissed as impossible, and their absolute determination to protect their own. Federation Admiral Kixon watched in mounting horror as centuries of military doctrine crumbled before his eyes. The human ships moved in ways that violated every principle of fleet tactics, their formations constantly shifting like living things. They're not following any known combat protocols, his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking in distress. Every time we adapt to one pattern, they create an entirely new one. Impossible, Kixon muttered, but the evidence was undeniable. The humans weren't just fighting, they were innovating in the middle of battle. Aboard the Hyperion, Admiral Chen watched the Federation fleet's increasingly desperate attempts to impose order on chaos. Status of Operation Storybook. Lieutenant Rodriguez grinned as his fingers danced across his console. Working perfectly, Admiral. Every tactic they're seeing comes from a different science fiction novel. They're trying to find patterns in centuries of human imagination. The Federation had built their military might on consistency and standardization. Every ship, every fleet, every battle followed established protocols refined over millennia. It had worked perfectly against species that developed along predictable lines. But humanity had spent centuries imagining space warfare before they ever left their planet. They had created countless stories about space battles, each one proposing different technologies, different tactics, different ways of thinking about combat in 3 dimensions. Their flagship is attempting to coordinate a response, Sophia reported from her station. Their communication protocols are elegant, perfectly optimized, and completely predictable, Chen finished. Execute Phase 2. The Ghost Fleet suddenly scattered, each ship seemingly operating independently. Federation tactical computers tried to analyze the chaos, searching for the underlying pattern their experience told them must exist. There was no pattern. Each human ship was running battle simulations created by different science fiction authors, their tactics pulled from stories spanning hundreds of years of human imagination. They're violating basic principles of space combat, a Federation commander transmitted, his voice filled with genuine confusion. Ships that size can't move like that. Weapons can't combine effects that way. They're breaking the rules. Rules. Chen's voice cut through the channel. We didn't spend centuries dreaming of the stars just to follow someone else's rules. The Hyperion's quantum shields had now absorbed enough energy from Federation weapons to power their next surprise. Panels along the hull began to shift, revealing systems that the Federation's sensors couldn't even classify. "What you're seeing," Chen continued, "is the difference between a civilization that optimized what they knew and one that never stopped asking what if." Deep in the Hyperion's engineering section, Dr. Yuki Tanaka monitored the experimental systems she'd helped design. Like many human scientists, she'd grown up reading science fiction, watching shows about space travel, imagining possibilities that others might dismiss as fantasy. "Quantum field harmonic stable," she reported. "Dark matter matrix aligned. Ready for full spectrum deployment." The Federation fleet's formation suddenly broke apart as their sensors overloaded. The human ships weren't just using technology in ways they'd never seen. They were combining technologies that their science said couldn't work together. "This isn't possible," Kixon transmitted, watching his fleet's carefully coordinated tactics fall apart. "Your species is too young, too primitive. You can't have developed these technologies." "We didn't just develop technology," Chen responded. "We developed imagination. Every impossible thing you're seeing was dreamed up by a human storyteller long before we had the ability to build it." The Ghost Fleet moved into their final attack position. Each ship now operated on principles drawn from different human stories. Some used quantum mechanics in ways the Federation had never considered. Others bent space itself through applications of dark matter that violated their understanding of physics. "Your mistake," Chen continued, "wasn't underestimating our technology. It was underestimating the power of human creativity. While you were perfecting what you knew, we were imagining what could be." In the Federation Council chamber, the assembled representatives watched in stunned silence as their undefeated fleet was systematically dismantled by tactics their most advanced AIs couldn't predict. "They're not just defeating our ships," one counselor observed quietly. "They're defeating our assumptions. Every principle we built our civilization on is being proven incomplete," another finished. "They're showing us possibilities we never imagined." The Hyperion's hull now glowed with energies the Federation couldn't classify, its quantum shields having evolved far beyond their original design. Each attack against it not only failed but made it stronger, its adaptive systems learning and growing in real time. "Final warning," Chen transmitted. "You can retreat now, return to your council, and explain why attacking a species that thinks differently than you was a mistake. Or you can stay, and we'll give you a more detailed demonstration of human creativity." The Federation fleet faced a choice that would reshape the galaxy. They could admit their assumptions were wrong, that their rigid adherence to proven principles had left them vulnerable to a species that approached problems differently. Or they could learn just how many other impossible technologies humanity had been keeping in reserve. The Federation's response came not in words but in actions. Their fleet regrouped, forming a new pattern that hadn't been used in 10,000 years. The Extinction Protocol, reserved for species deemed too dangerous to exist. Admiral Chen watched calmly as the enemy ships began channeling energy on a scale that made their previous attacks look like fireflies. "They've made their choice," she transmitted to the Ghost Fleet. "Initiate Project Imagination." Deep within the Hyperion, Dr. Tanaka's fingers flew across her console. Quantum resonance field at maximum. Dark matter matrix primed. Ready to rewrite their understanding of physics. The Federation fleet fired as one, releasing enough energy to shatter a small moon. For a moment, space itself seemed to bend under the assault. Their sensors showed the human ships being engulfed in the apocalyptic blast. Then something happened that their civilization had deemed impossible. The human ships didn't just survive. They absorbed the energy, their quantum shields resonating in harmony with the attack. Each vessel now glowed with power that exceeded the Federation's ability to measure. "Impossible," Admiral Kixon whispered. "The energy requirements, the computational power needed." "About that," Chen's voice cut through their communications. "We should explain something about human innovation. We don't just imagine new technologies, we imagine new ways to power them." The Ghost Fleet's formation shifted again, but this time there was a pattern. A pattern so complex, so multidimensional, that it took the Federation's best eyes several seconds to recognize what they were seeing. The human ships had arranged themselves into a giant circuit. You see, Chen continued, while you were perfecting fusion and antimatter power, we were asking different questions. What if we could harness quantum entanglement for energy transfer? What if dark matter could be used to store power? What if multiple ships could combine their energy fields? The Federation fleet's sensors registered energy readings that broke their scale. The human ships were sharing power, combining their fields in ways that amplified each other exponentially. Your extinction protocol is impressive, Chen acknowledged. But you designed it to kill ships that follow your rules. We don't. The Hyperion's hull now rippled with energies that made the Federation's weapons look primitive. The quantum shields had evolved beyond their original design, creating effects that even their human creators hadn't predicted. In the council chamber, the gathered representatives watched in horror as their ultimate weapon was not just countered, but transformed. The human ships were using the Federation's own attack as a power source. They're not just fighting us, one counselor realized. They're proving that everything we know about physics is incomplete. The Ghost Fleet began to move again, each ship trailing quantum fire, as they executed maneuvers that the Federation's computers insisted were impossible. They weren't just breaking formation, they were breaking reality itself. Final warning, Chen transmitted. Your extinction protocol failed. Your assumptions about what's possible have failed. The only question now is how much more of your worldview you want us to dismantle. Dr. Tanaka's voice came over the Hyperion's comm. Admiral, the quantum resonance field has stabilized. We can now demonstrate the full capabilities of Project Imagination. Chen smiled. The Federation was about to learn the true meaning of human ingenuity. Show them. The space between the fleets began to change. The human ships weren't just manipulating energy. They were rewriting the laws of physics in their local space. Federation sensors showed impossible readings as quantum fields merged with dark matter in ways their science said couldn't happen. What you're seeing, Chen explained to the increasingly desperate Federation commanders, is what happens when you let imagination guide your science instead of limiting it. The Ghost Fleet's formation completed its transformation. Each ship now acted as part of a vast quantum computer, processing power on a scale that made the Federation's AIs look like pocket calculators. You killed our people because we didn't follow your rules. Chen's voice carried absolute conviction now. Because we developed in ways you didn't expect. Ways you thought were impossible. The Federation fleet faced a choice. Retreat and admit their entire understanding of the universe was incomplete, or stay and witness just how many other impossible things humanity had learned to do. They were about to discover that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology. It was their ability to imagine possibilities that others couldn't or wouldn't see. The galaxy was about to change forever. 3 months after what historians would later call the Imagination Battle, the Federation Council chamber looked very different. Where once only established species had seats, now humans stood among them. Not as supplicants, but as equals who had earned their place by shattering centuries of assumptions. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the council, her uniform crisp as ever, but now bearing both Earth and Federation insignias. Besides her, Admiral Kixon, once her opponent, now a reluctant ally, prepared to deliver their joint report. The integration of human technological principles has begun, Kixon announced, his geometric eyes spinning slower than usual, a sign of lingering discomfort. Though I must note that their methods continue to challenge our understanding. You mean we keep breaking rules you thought were unbreakable? Chen added with a slight smile. The chamber's new quantum-enhanced holographic system, a human innovation, displayed their findings with crystal clarity. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, now heading the Joint Human Federation Science Division, stepped forward. We've confirmed that human approaches to physics, while unorthodox, are entirely valid. Our imagination-driven development process has identified over 3,000 potential technologies that Federation science deemed impossible. The council chamber buzzed with conversation. In just 3 months, human scientists had revolutionized fields that the Federation had considered perfected. Their habit of asking "what if" instead of "what is" had opened doors that had been closed for millennia. But the technological advances are not what truly concerns us, a senior counselor interjected. It's the cultural impact. Other species are beginning to experiment, to question established principles. They're beginning to imagine, Chen corrected. And that's exactly what the galaxy needs. The evidence was undeniable. Across Federation space, younger species were embracing human approaches to problem-solving. The rigid hierarchies that had governed galactic development for centuries were giving way to something new, something dynamic. The Federation's strength was built on stability. Kixan reminded the Council. On known principles, proven methods. And that worked, Chen acknowledged, until you encountered a species that hadn't learned to limit their dreams. We're not here to destroy your system. We're here to help it evolve. The quantum displays showed the new reality. Human ships now patrolled Federation space alongside traditional vessels. Their impossible technologies a constant reminder that the universe was bigger than anyone had imagined. More importantly, human schools and universities had opened their doors to Federation species, teaching not just technology but creativity. The attack on our Kuiper Belt outpost was a tragedy, Chen continued, her voice firm. But from that tragedy, something remarkable has emerged. A galaxy that's remembering how to dream. Dr. Tanaka activated another display, showing the first graduating class of the new Joint Species Innovation Academy. Young beings from across the Federation, learning to combine their species' accumulated knowledge with human-style imaginative thinking. We're not superior, Chen emphasized. We're different. We spent centuries imagining possibilities before we could achieve them. That gave us an advantage you never considered. The ability to think beyond established limits. The Council Chamber's quantum field hummed as it processed new data. The Federation's economy was growing faster than it had in millennia. Scientific breakthroughs were being announced daily. And perhaps most importantly, species that had been stagnant for centuries were rediscovering their capacity for wonder. The galaxy is changing. The High Counselor finally spoke. The question before us is whether we will guide that change or resist it. Chen stepped forward one last time. When you attacked Earth, you thought you were containing a threat. Instead, you released one of humanity's greatest gifts into the galaxy, our ability to imagine better futures and work to achieve them. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Federation had ruled the galaxy through stability and standardization. Now they faced a future where imagination and innovation would play an equally important role. We offer partnership, Chen concluded. Not submission to your rules or dominance through ours, but a new path forward. One where we combine your experience with our creativity, your stability with our drive to explore possibilities. The Council's decision was unanimous. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what it needed. As Chen left the chamber, she passed a group of young Federation scientists excitedly discussing impossible ideas with their human counterparts. She smiled, remembering all the science fiction stories she'd read as a child, all the impossible dreams that had led humanity to this moment. The Federation had tried to contain humanity because they didn't follow the rules. Instead, they had freed the galaxy from rules that no one had thought to question. And in doing so, they had given the universe something it desperately needed. The power to imagine what could be, rather than accept what was.